team's not going in that river.
Hello to this, guys. Professional divers. Scared of a fish.
A bull shark is not just any fish. It lives in fresh and salt water.
You're in her neck of the woods. She don't like it now.
Oh, my, take a shark! Shoot it!
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 action horror Fear Below. The film is co-written and directed by Matthew Holmes and it stars Hermione Caulfield, Jake Ryan, Josh McConville, Jacob Jr. Nyinggool and Arthur Angel. Now the film is a period piece. It's set in I think it's the 40s, something like that. And it focuses on, well, initially it's a group of gangsters. They have stolen some gold bullion and they are taking it across Australia. This is set in Australia. They have a bit of an accident and the truck carrying the gold bullion basically sinks to the bottom of a lake. Now, they've got to get this gold bullion back, and the plan they come up with is to get some deep sea divers. So they find a fairly local company, a three-man team. You've got Clara, Ernie, and Jimmy, and they head out there to get whatever is at the bottom of this lake and bring it back. They have no idea that they're gangsters. So they get down there, they start trekking around looking for what's there, and unfortunately they are attacked by a vicious bull shark, which makes things even more complicated to kind of get the gold bullion back. But also, once the gangsters reveal themselves for who they are, they start putting the divers' lives at risk in order to get their gold bullion back. Right. What are my thoughts on Fear Below? Well, here we are again, guys. We've got another shark film. Barely a month or two goes by, it would seem, and we get a fresh shark film served up to us on a silver platter, so to speak. Is this any different than some of the others that we get that generally are quite painfully average, in my opinion, most of them? There's a small amount of them kind of managed to kind of elevate themselves to maybe slightly above average, but the majority, honestly, that I've seen are pretty standard or average at best. However, this one I think is certainly more watchable than some that I have seen in regards to these lower budget shark films. Now when I say lower budget, this isn't what you would call bargain basement type filmmaking. There is definitely a polish to this film that's got good, strong production values. As I've said, it's set in a time period where they've got all the costumes right, the vehicles right, all the old-fashioned diving equipment that they would have worn at that time. They've got all that right as well. So it feels very authentic, and it's a well-made film in that sense for sure. And I think something that this film does well, that a lot of other films like this do very poorly, is we get a little bit of character development here that I quite liked. So number one, on one side you've got this diving team. So you've got, as I said, Clara, Jimmy and Ernie. Now Jimmy is an Aborigine, so he's obviously local to that area, but he's kind of grown up in the water and he's a very skilled diver. Clara, again, she's been working for this diving team for a while, and she's quite an interesting character. And then you've got Ernie that runs the diving team, and I think the film does a good job of letting us kind of connect to these characters, and I quite like their characters. But then on the other side, you've got the gangsters, if you like, led by Jake Ryan's character. And again, because there's only a handful of them, 3 of them, I think. You kind of get to know them a little bit, and while you are under no illusions that they're the bad guys in this film, they're very distinctive. You know what I mean? You've got the leader, Dylan, as I said, played by Jake Ryan. You've got the enforcer, if you like, who feels like a constant threat, and then you've got like this young lad who is obviously not as skilled and knowledgeable as the other two gangsters, sort of thing, but he pulls his weight. So you've got like three on each side, pretty much, and they all kind of got their own kind of distinct personalities and stuff, which allows you to kind of connect to these characters, and the film does that well. Does it do the shark stuff well? Let's be honest, this is a shark film. Yes, I think it does. Now, because this is like set in a lake, they explained basically that in this lake, visibility is very, very poor. There's lots of mud and stuff. So the underwater sequences, it actually works to the advantage of the shark footage, because you can't see a great deal. It's almost like found footage at this point. You know, the last 20 minutes of a found footage film, which is a bit chaotic. You get a bit of that. But it does make up for that, which I actually thought helped the film, but it makes up for that as well, because we get a lot of surface attacks in this, and I think those are done particularly well. They feel pretty brutal, fairly tense. There's a scene where the mobsters go and hire a local fisherman to hunt this shark, and he turns up in like this little fishing boat, overconfident, and you're just kind of thinking, well, he's getting munched, and whoever goes with him, they're very likely to be, desert. And so it does a good job, I think, of like making this shark a really credible threat. They even explain away why it could be so vicious. The girl Clara kind of says that it could be pregnant, so therefore it's extra vicious, kind of protecting its own territory, which I thought was nice. A lot of shark films don't even try and attempt to explain why they're doing it. They just portray them as vicious, mindless beasts. So this one doesn't. It kind of gives you a little bit of reasoning as to why it could potentially be doing this. So I thought that was, it was just basically a sentence, but it kind of means a lot in a film like this. So while this is a shark film at its very core, it's almost a secondary story though, because you've got, as I've said, you've got these characters. It becomes like a battle of wills. You've got these divers that have got to get to this vehicle to get the gold bunion out. There's a shark in the water, and at the same time they've got to try and outsmart these gangsters that are on the surface, basically waiting to kill them as soon as they get the gold bunion back. So what do they do? What they're going to do to kind of survive? So it's not just a shark film. It's also it pits them against the gangsters who are the real villains of the piece, really, rather than the shark. So I do think this one does elevate itself a little bit to a little bit more than above average, in my opinion. I was very, very close to giving this a 7, because I appreciated the effort that went into this. You know what I mean? Like I say, it's not just let's just fire a shark film out and see if we can make a quick buck sort of thing. There's a bit of time and effort gone into this. There's some good production values, as I've mentioned, and the performances I felt were all very, very strong from everybody. So if you're a fan of shark films, I think you probably will enjoy this more than most of these that we get to see these days. I thought this was definitely a worthy effort, certainly, in my opinion. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.